All right, let's see if we can get a signal to the Bat Cave. Never know with the YouTubes. And we are live. Hello and good morning, everybody. Welcome to another edition of the Jedi Academy here on the SWGOH Gamers YouTube channel, where we sit back, relax, and talk with you guys about Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes, the mobile game brought to you by Capital Games. I'm your man with the plan, Ranger J 1999, welcoming you into another edition of the Q&A show for Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes. That's right, it's a Q&A show, and the way it works is pretty simple. If you have a question you want to pose for the next 2 hours to myself, whoever joins me in the Zoom call, of any of the content creators and guests that we have on, all you got to do is put your question into the chat. Make sure you put the word question in front of your rap God. Make sure you put the word question in front of your actual question and or comment or statement that you want us to respond to and or answer, and we will give you the best answer that we can possibly give you. So good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are out there in Poke World, and welcome to the show. Give your greeting in the chat. Make sure that you say hi to me and say hi to all the other skewers. We love having you guys here. Appreciate you guys being here. We are on the YouTube, so make sure that you hit the like and subscribe button. The like if you like the video and the content that we're putting out. Subscribe if you like the content and you want to get more of it when we get more videos. And that's the easy way to support the channel. Also, right after Jedi Academy ends, we should have a video coming up right afterwards of our next videos that me and Karth are putting out for you guys. So make sure you go check that out. You'll really enjoy it. We're going to start doing more of those and getting those out to you guys, so you guys can, it's what you guys enjoy. You guys love asking us questions, so we thought we'd start putting some videos out there to help you guys on pretty much the subjects that you guys are constantly asking about, whether it's modding, team makeup, all that kind of stuff. So we're going to get that out there. So get your questions in. Welcome, everybody. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Glad to have you guys here on a Saturday morning. Good morning to Ray Rocks. It's good morning, Ranger. Flashers of Pickles. Stroker of Wookiees, drinkers of coffee, and of course, eaters of taco. That does aptly describe the skewer community here, yes. It's Linky, it's fun for a girl and a boy, so let's go indeed. Jedi Rules, our man, our Legoland master from San Diego, has given a greeting to everybody. Car's not quite here yet, Jedi Rules. He shows up when he starts precisely when he means to. Dark side, it's joined us as well. Hello there. Linky says, all right, man, with the plan, what is the plan? The plan is the Jedi Academy and answer questions. What's your plan? I know what it is. You're going to sit here and listen and ask questions and listen to the show. See, I'm already 3 steps ahead of you. Momon Dadan, good morning. He says, morning all. Good morning, Momon. Glad to see you here. Maximus Decimus Meridius 242 says, good morning, y'all. Good morning, Max. JB United says, hi, good afternoon from the UK. Good morning. Oh, Captain, good morning to you. Good, sir. Very good. Ronan Zai says, Darth Bane, about damn time. That's right. We are getting Darth Bane as the next Conquest character, so that's exciting to see. Very much glad to have it. Linky says, well, you got me there. That's right. Like Doctor Strange, I see all possibilities. Had a lot of fun last night hanging out with Heinze. Thanks for everybody who's joined the Heinze pre-stream. Congrats to Rambam. He got promoted to E6. So it was another solo stream with Ranger, but I had the lovely Desi Snarf join us. Thane joined us for a little bit, so did Boss, but mainly it was me and Desi Jingle Snarf. JB United wants to give us an update on the British weather. Let me see what it's going to be. It says weather update, rain again, plus I don't care. Yeah, it's the way it is in England. Sounds like good English weather. Cold, damp, rainy. What can you? But good morning, everybody. Good afternoon, wherever you are. I'm glad to have you guys here. Keep in your greetings, get your questions in, and we will get that done. Yeah, had a lot of fun last night. Had a lot of fun with Heinze last night. We lost our JC last night. I did try some different things because I just want to do some testing on these datacrons that are out there and try some different teams and stuff, and didn't go well, but some stuff worked, some stuff didn't. I don't care. We're going to do our fights anyway. So for you guys to see some stuff and try some stuff and see what works is mainly the plan. So yeah, So Monday we'll continue our JC. Also announcement, there will be no D&D today. I'm pretty sure about that. So yeah. Yeah, that's pretty yeah, I can see how that might be the suck there, JB United. The Wolfman's joining us. Good morning and happy up, Ranger. Happy up to you, my friend. Glad to have you here. Karth will join us if he's going to. Don't worry, you'll get plenty of good Karth action. We have our video coming out today, so yeah. Oh, we're getting a weather update from Jedi Rules. It says weather update, no rain here in San Diego, but it's a little cold. Yeah. Cold for San Diego is like warm everywhere else in the U.S. But that's why you live in San Diego. Cold there is like, that's cold. You know, people in the northeast of the country are going, oh, but not the case. What else? 73, the man, the myth, the legend says, good morning. The Africron wasn't as successful as I expected to be. Perhaps in fives will work better. Pretty much, yeah. Not having that leadership cron and stuff like that with her and not having the full team. And don't get me wrong, Dr. Aphra in the threes with the cron is really good, but not against that Bosch cron. Pretty much some of the things that I learned last night. We tried some things. We're going to put Jabba back on defense. We'll obliterate Leia, but I think moving forward with Leia, we're going to go SLKR, Crew, and Malicos. That's a really good solid counter. We have the team in the cron for it, so we're going to do that. Versus Jabba, we have to have JMK. I mean, that cron, that Bosch cron on Jabba is gross, especially in threes. We've got to have the scoundrel no revive cron. You got to get Chrysanthemum out there immediately and then just burn down Leia. There's no other way around it. That thing is nasty. I'm sure there's maybe some other options out there, but Jesus Christ, that thing is insane. It's so OP. Other than that, our Jedi Master Luke counter versus Lord Vader is quite solid. And then for Rey, yeah, we'll use whatever we have left over. So yeah. So yeah. We'll figure that out. I'm gonna move some pieces on the defensive board, but I wanted to try some different stuff yesterday. But we went against that Datacron Jabba with Leia with the Grogan Cron and just got obliterated. And I mean obliterated. It is really, really fucking nasty. So what do you do? What does men do against such reckless hate? I don't. Joseph Oliver, it can, but if it targets Aphra, you're fucking borked, man. It can beat it, but it's I'm not seeing good results with it, because if they could target Aphra, you're done. You're absolutely done. So, and you just can't have it. Yeah. Mike says, you answered my question before I asked. Good afternoon, Skiers. Good afternoon. The engineer, choo choo, says, hello there. Hello there. Engine number 9 on the New York Transit line. Dark Side said, question, best 3v3 Leia counter between C or SLKR. I don't have Gear 13 Malicos yet. You're not going to beat it with SLKR Watt Crew, I'll tell you that much. You have to have Malicos in there with Crew. Crew can tank all the damage, and then you're ramping up SLKR and Malicos. I mean, C is going to be, you'll get rid of Drogon in R2, but it's probably going to have to be a 2-shot on 3s. I just don't think SRKR, it could work SRKR Crew Watt, but Christ, it could get wonky. I don't think it is as good. Dark Side, so yeah. So yeah, I had JMK on defense. We're going to put Jabba down on defense and pull JMK for that Jabba counter. We'll use SRK or Malicos versus Leia. Versus Lord Schmader, we'll go JML because that's a really solid counter. And then I got to figure out what I'm going to do against Rey, because that only leaves me like, I think C.
Just take all your GLs to offense and say, screw it.
Well, I don't want to do that. But yeah. With the testing last night, man, yeah, it's pretty, yeah. We got to go, Malicos against Leia in 3s. JMO works really good against Lord Schmader. You got to have JMK versus that Jabba Cron. God almighty, it obliterated my Bosch Leia. That thing is absolutely broken, dude. God almighty.
Why'd you try to use Leia versus...
I was just trying last night. I knew we probably weren't going to win last night, so I was just trying some different stuff. So, yeah. Well, actually, we tried SLKR versus Jabba, but that Boschkron just ate us alive, dude. I
You
mean,
have to have crew
I did, and it
on
still ate
your
it
team.
alive, dude. It just
You use
ate it.
what?
Yeah, didn't matter. They had so many thermals and were doing so much damage and taking so many turns. I couldn't get a turn,
Huh.
and I just got obliterated, dude. It was
Huh.
gross. So,
Interesting. Yeah, because it's like I was reading the chat and they're like, oh well, Africron beats it. And I'm like, Africron can beat it,
yeah, but if they
but
go
it
after
is
Aphra first kick, and you're done because
if
they'll
they go
kill
after
her.
Aphra, yeah, it goes to hell in a heartbeat, and and that's all it takes because you can't
Uh,
revive her.
Mike, for Lord Vader, it's JML, Jedi Knight Luke, and Shakti. I don't care what the comp is; it'll eat it alive. Um, so you're done. I don't care, and it had the
You just
stacking defense.
you
Yeah,
just need sustain. That's all you
yeah,
need. Well, all your damage is true damage, so it doesn't matter how much defense they stack.
yeah. So, Andrew, your question: do you need all three Zetas on Jedi Knight Cal to take out a Malgus team in 3v3? Uh,
I
we
remember
need
what his
all the
Zetas even are.
Zetas. I'm gonna say yes. Of course, we all know the Omicrons are for TB, but the Zetas, I would think so. Yeah.
I mean, you just need to be able to instant defeat him and then convert fears into
Oh, it can be. Oh, but it's
stats.
it's not that high a winning percentage. The problem with the Dr. Africon, yeah, you're gonna go first and you're gonna take a lot of turns, but as soon as they
It's gonna
go,
if
and
they have the Bauschkron
yeah,
specifically, that's gonna create its own can of worms. But you are literally at a 60, about a 60 to 70% win rate with the Africron versus Jabba in 3v3 because if the AI decides to target Aphra, the
yeah,
fight's over. Because the next AoE, she's going to eat it in the shorts.
yeah,
Unless you get really good on landing your dots and you can get your siphon stacks up fast enough and whatever else. But I played a run where I coached somebody through it and it worked just fine, and then I did mine and it went right to hell.
yeah.
So
It's hit or miss.
yeah, so it'll have about a 70% win rate, but I wouldn't rely on it being your only job counter.
No, and if it goes bad, it goes completely bad. It's not like you took out Leia
Yeah,
or
yeah,
your
it goes
Santon.
right
You
to
just
hell.
basically got destroyed, and yeah.
Yeah.
So and it's not like I don't have the team modded to like my team's modded to the teeth, and it's still I'm just like no. So I think moving forward, we had JMK on defense, but I think we're gonna take him back just so we can use against Jabba. I don't want to fuck around with it. We'll
Yeah, I
use
thought it would have been more fun on defense to use it with that no revive crom, but it just
yeah,
seems like it's not causing any
they're
problems.
yeah, no, they're just mirroring it, and it doesn't matter anyway. So it's like okay. I mean, yeah, they don't have
Yeah.
to use Inquisitors, but it's like, would you anyway? So I think in threes we put probably Jabba down would be the best play.
Yeah, I mean, the longer we go down the road, I think people are going to pull Leia off of defense
Yeah, you
and
keep
then
Leia. Yeah, you keep Leia. So yeah, I mean, because we'll use JMK versus Jabba. We'll lose Leia versus is it Ray? No, who do we want to use against Ray? We'll use SLKR versus Malicos versus Leia, and then Lord Vader will be JML. Yeah, I guess we use Leia against Ray. I don't know what the win rate on that is. We'll have to look at that.
you got to be careful with it because the whirlwinds are
Well,
not
maybe
your
we just
friend.
keep. I want to keep another GL on the down, but
Maybe just
leave.
rotate to putting
I think
some A
maybe
tier
we just
teams
leave
down.
Leia down because Jabba will destroy Ray. I think, right?
She
Yeah,
will, yeah.
yeah. So I think we put Leia down on defense, and then yeah, because they have to use something correct on that. They can't just go in there and not do that. And if they don't have Jabba, that's going to be a tough fight no matter what. So yeah, I think that's what we'll do. Let's see here. Bray Rock took out Magwa's Basla, Jedi Cal, and Mace. Yeah, that's a hard counter. Works very well. Michael W. Huntington III from His Majesty's Secret Gaming Services. Does I follow your D? Wait, I followed your D. Incorporated including JMK was one shot and pulled JMK for offense. Yeah, I just think yeah we're gonna have to
Well, it's the first week of threes, and people are running a lot more offensively
yeah
oriented right now.
yeah
They don't want to risk the loss. So people are just moving more and more towards, okay, well, if that's the case, I'm just going to hold these teams for offense or whatever else, or
Mm-hmm.
move. And as we move through it, the further we get into um, this particular round of GAC or season, then people will start gravitating back towards what am I trying to say? The
Right and
heavier
forward.
defense. Yeah,
Yeah.
the heavier defense.
Garth, can I ask you a TV question? Yeah, you can ask any question you want. That's the whole point of this. Ask your
You can
question. Doesn't even
you
have to
can
ask if
definitely
you have.
try.
Yeah, you can ask. I mean, I give a coherent, you know, clear, defined answer, but yeah. As Carr says, it's what we're comfortable with. Yeah. And I just think, yeah, for me, putting Leia back on defense, having Jabba to take out Rey's, having the SRK or Malicos for Leia because it works really well, having GML for Lord Schmader, and then so I think we'll have our and JMK for Jabba because it's like you got to be able to get Chrysanthemum out there and burn Leia down because that Bosch chronic, god damn, that thing was gross, dude. I couldn't get a turn. I had ultimate ready, but they just kept going and going and going. I couldn't get a turn. I had so many thermals, and then he did ultimate. I was like, ooh. I was like, shit. That was the second or third ultimate I think he hit me with that night before I got to my ultimate. It's pretty gross, man.
Yeah, it's pretty nutty. A lot of things are just stupid.
Linky, do you have any recommendations for teams that can get 2 for 2 on Planet Vandor or Relic First Relic 9 Planet in Mix Zone, the one with all the dots? Well, is the Hut Cartel one of them? I don't remember.
Hut Cartel's one. Yeah, well,
That's an easy one, but I
that's an
mean,
easy one. Typically you need teams that cleanse a lot. So what I end up doing a lot of the time on that particular planet is I move like JMK and Leia to fighting there, and then let lower class teams deal with Lothal because Lothal's bonuses give you a lot more flexibility
mm,
in what you're doing. So it's just I find it easier to do Lothal and to scrape by with shittier teams because like Gas 501st can do the open mission, and then JML can do the Jedi mission, and then that's it. Because if you don't have Phoenix, you don't do anything else on that planet. So I typically move JMK and Leia.
yeah.
If you don't have Leia, but JMK is another decent one. But you got to have like snips and stuff like that up there because you need to cleanse a lot to get rid of the confusion.
Yeah, Barris is good on teams for that. Sealess Han, Chewy, Cheapy, and R2. That's solid. But Big O says I got 14 holds today with job on defense. Yeah, I believe it. That thing is nasty. Linky says JMK got smashed in wave 2 and Jedi Cow with all the Omnis, Jedi Luke and such got smashed too. I had like 30 dots on my team. Yeah, you have to have a cleanser.
Are you talking about Tatooine,
He says it's the ice planet.
the ice planet
He's talking
in the
Relic 9,
middle?
Relic 9 planet.
Oh, Hoth?
He
Is
says
that
it.
what he's talking about?
He
Are we talking about
says
Vandor or Hoth?
Planet Vandor. I don't know. No, after Kessel.
After Castle. Okay. Okay. Well,
Yeah, Vandor. He's confirming.
no, before Vandor. Yeah, Vandor. Vandor is Relic 8, isn't it? Or is Vandor Relic
Relic
9?
9.
Is it? My brain's farting on the map. Um, I don't know if I got anything on that one
He
to be
says
honest
it
with
is the
you.
one where Ness is in the second wave.
That's should be Vandor, which should still be R8.
He says it's Relic 9. I don't know. We haven't been doing a lot of Relic 9s in my guild. Boss.
We're not doing it the last two phases of planets.
Yeah, we haven't got
Like
there yet.
we don't care.
Yeah, we're not quite there yet. Mainly because we blame Finn.
Yes, exactly.
Finn sucks. That guy's poo poo. So Vinder's the first Relic 9 and Hoth is the second Relic 9. Yeah,
Oh, I'm
sorry.
thinking of Cat. Yeah, so Castle. Yeah, we haven't gotten there.
Yeah, haven't had a chance to really. you know, shit on that too much. So wish we had good answers for you, but we'll get there eventually. Probably do a video on it. Teams and strategies for Relic 9. Like I'm just spending some currency right now. So let's see here. Because I was looking, we should get raid rewards here soon. And I'm like, I might want to make some room for some more coinage.
Yeah.
It's sorry, Linky. We'll get there eventually, man. Sorry. We're not quite there yet. Although with all the relics, like I'm doing a shit ton of relic 8s right now. It was funny, Maddie was in the stream last night, Karth. And he came in and says, Hey Ranger, you have any more attacks? I'm like, nope, you got 8.4, almost 8.5, and that's it. I put it on auto and didn't give a shit. And I started laughing. I'm like, my plan is to take all the characters of Relic 8, mainly the main ones first, and then I'm just going to go auto all the way up to 11 million. If we need 13 million, then I may give some effort, but fuck that raid.
Yeah,
I
that's
was
fair.
like, get that shit out of here. I'm just sorry. I can't do it, Carter. I just can't. It's like, Jesus Christ. So bad, man. Oh, God.
It's not a very interesting raid, that's for sure.
So, all right, get your questions in. Make sure you put the word question for any extra question, comment, or statement. We'll be here for you guys for a little bit. And then on Earth, I just telling all the skewers before you jumped on, we got a video coming out right after the Jedi Academy.
Oh yeah, we do.
Yeah.
I think,
So,
right?
mhm.
Yeah, we do.
So you guys will have a nice video from us that you guys can go look at. You should probably check it out. I was telling the skewers that we get asked a lot of the same questions over and over again of the thousands, well, actually tens of thousands of Ross reviews I've done at this point. And so we thought we'd start putting some videos out there for you guys. We'll still do this stuff when it comes along, right? When we get to
Yeah.
the zones for Relic 9, for TB, but when Bo comes out, we'll do hers. We'll do some other things along the way, but that's why we did the raid one. We wanted to talk about some of the synergies and stuff that you need for the raid and what you're looking for. And what you need to do to get get to the 424 million box, for your guild and stuff like that, and then higher. So yeah, we'll continue doing some videos like that. But I figured, yeah, let's get that done. What else? Three question: why is it that Seer Cal Malicos does a constant rotation of foresight immunity every turn? It is quite annoying. Is C a good option to resolve that? C will, yeah, it doesn't matter what they do. If they want to take all those turns, you're just going to your ultimate and then death. But C is good on that as well. I think Trey is too, because you put the isolate onto Seer, right? So she can't do all her bullshit. Or no. Yeah, because you isolate Malicos and then you get rid of you isolate Seer and then you burn Malicos down and then go after her. You don't worry about Jedi Cal. You just let him go fuck around, do whatever he wants to do. In 3. So 3's is such a different animal, Karth. God damn it.
Yeah. Seer Cal Malicos. Yeah, it's just how the combination of how those character kits work together, right? Because Cal is constantly putting foresight up. And then if you Malicos flops debuffs into like damage immunity.
Yeah.
And so there's just you got to be careful with the counters you're using to get around it. A lot of people are just going to default to using C versus like most Seer comps that have Malicos because it's just going to be easier to win.
All I do is win, 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 no matter what. Sapa 98 says, hello, Ranger. Today is a special day as I have 23 crystals. Do you know what that means?
And to buy a vault,
23 crystals? Are you going to get like a partial of a Big Mac? What do you do with 23 crystals?
you buy a vault.
You buy a vault? Is that what that means?
Yeah.
Oh. Well, okay, for us non-Kraken players and our high-end wells, there are. What does that mean? Anybody? Anybody?
Says
Okay.
his depths of rage has been unlocked.
Oh.
He has done his with his ultimate on Slacker.
Oh. That's what those mean. Oh, very nice. Okay, I was like, When you said 23 crystals, I'm like thinking regular crystals, not, ultimate mats. I'm like, what do you mean? I don't know what that means. I must have missed the memo. Very going, yes. Very nice, my friend. Linky says, problem is if I buy a vault, I'll just use it on Kelleran. Yeah, if I had a vault,
Hey,
I
I
would.
did that already.
If I had a vault, I'd go do it right now, but I don't have a vault, so that's thus negating the possibility of me doing that. Which would make Linky's day, Karth, because he doesn't believe me about the sevens bullshit. Karth was telling me yesterday he got a 145 pull. I'm like, what's that like? How does that feel? That also means I'm broke. Well, join the rest of us.
Yeah. Who do you think's wealthy around here?
Mm-hmm. It ain't me. Yes, you can get 5 shards, Link. Yes. That usually happens to me. If I get a different pull than Swevin, most of the times it's a 5. So maybe one day if Keller and Beck is worth it, but not for me. I can't afford it. So fuck that. Fuck that shit. But Linky, I'm sure would just be creaming his jeans if he saw that shit right now. Oh my god, he's pulling packs. Oh
my god, Ranger's being let down by his packs.
Yeah. I'm so horny. I'm so horny and turned on right now. But that day is not today. Hey, Tumblr Dry, the man with the best friend of the business is happy Saturday, Ranger Carthan Skewers. Skull, y'all. Hard, skull, me foreign buddy. Join me party crew. I've got myself and me Welland Cannoneer, Carther Jinigish. Arr. Oh, yeah, Linky. Swing action. Yeah, but that's not it. So. What else? 3 question. Do you think an update to TW is coming anytime soon, as in 2024? Congratulations, Jedi Rules. I don't know about it's overdue, Karth. Man, is TW overdue, man. They've done everything else but TW. I mean, good God, man. That thing is about as stale as a piece of bread left in the sun, and then there hasn't been rain in 2 weeks. It's so dry and stale, it can't even mildew. That's how stale and dry this shit is.
Yeah, that's kind of the unfortunate part of where we're at right now with that particular game mode. It's just there is nothing going on with with it. It's just kind of like, whatever.
Stopper says, now I'm trying to 3-star the ultimate mission, which is great fun. I love Sudden Whirlwind. You can control that mission. We do have a video about it. Me and Loki did one back in the day. It has not changed from now and then. So just look up our video on it, on how you want to go approach with the SRK versus Ray, and then Ray versus SLKR in those 2 ultimate fights. When you're going for the ultimate mats, you can still get bad RNG on it. I think I had to do 11 out of 10 I had 11 battles and you only need 10 to win, because you can get that RNG, which just shits on you. There's just not much, but most of the times you stun Finn, you stun Poe, you're just ramping SLKR in that match just because he starts one-shotting, so yeah. Linky, I think TW's ready for a change, yet I don't want crystals moved there. Not as long as I'm dependent on other people for my income. Yeah, that's one thing that me and Karth, when they moved it to GAC, me and Karth, and even to this day, we're like, yay, and you get more crystals. The only way, Karth, that we were talking about this, was it Thursday? Yeah, we were talking about it on the lunch stream on Thursday, right? That we would be okay with it is if the crystal income is like GAC, right? Where you have that steady influx of crystals that you would, more than you would get on your average, for the average player, not for me who gets number 1 and 2, every day. I would be okay with that. If I lose a little bit of crystals, but it's a more steady stream of crystals and I have to do less work for it, I would be okay with it. But if a majority of it is you have to go in TW and win to get the crystal income and stuff that you had to do previously, go to hell. Because that's you can't take an individual performance game mode and then move it to a group game mode you're dependent on group members that, let's be real, on a stale game mode that no one gives 2 shits about. I think the only way they could do it, Card, is if they revamped TW and made it more interesting and fun, and that the crystals equaled out to a little bit more than what you would average for the average player in Fleet Arena. I'm talking top 20. I'm not talking top 50 or top 100. I'm talking like top 10 to 20, that
Well,
you'd have to be on the
whatever they
average.
do for their like they need to keep the daily crystals relatively where they're close to. So it's like I wouldn't want to see like crystal income drop below like 300 crystals
Hmm.
daily for not doing anything, which is probably way higher than they would put it because it is what it is. But
Well, if it's at like
it's just
250 or 260, I can be fine with that, you know,
yeah.
because, that's what you get for 6 to 10 on the board, you know. But it has to be something like that's the minimum threshold, right? That they have to be at. Because, nope. Raid crystals sound good as long as they're linked to the personal track. Um, moving crystals to raids. I don't know, Karth.
No,
No, I'm not for it.
no, I'm not for that either. That doesn't sound like a good time.
Yeah. Because you got to take this into account. There are people that will have a team that they can do really well in fleet, but their overall roster is a little lacking, right? And that's how they get their income. If you say you put it to raid, now they have to start doing way more with different characters and stuff.
Yeah,
And yeah, it
you
gets too,
have to invest. It's such a slap in the face. Like, oh, you want to play? Well, you have to do this.
yeah,
Oh, you don't want to? We don't give a shit.
yeah. So if that's the rumor, they better be very careful about that. That is on a nice edge and how good or bad that can be. So we'll see what happens. But a TW revamp is overdue, man. It really is. What they're going to do with it, I don't know, but let's see. Maximus, his question is Aphra worth the grind and investment? She, how do I put this? She is a good team to have if you have everything else pretty much locked in. Like, there's just too many better teams right now than Aphra. She's something nice to have, but you don't need it, is the best way to put it. And in certain times with the datacrons that have been out there, she can be spectacular. And she still is really good, especially in fives with her Omicron. Really, really good against teams. I mean, we obliterate Finn teams and other teams with her all the time. Um, but she's not a priority. Am I expressing that the correct way there, Karth, on Aphra here? Especially with Bo-Katan
Yeah,
coming out.
yeah. No, you are. It's just not a. It's She's just low priority. There's just not much there that makes it worth like doing to a degree, I guess.
Yeah.
So it's like if you have it, it's great, but like she's only really like powerful when she does her when she's doing her what am I trying to think of? When she got a Datacron that she can use.
Yeah.
Otherwise, she just really is lackluster in the overall comparison between everything.
There's a TB node too, but that's like, eh, it's not something you need for TB. It just isn't. I mean, you can get away with using what, Sector 1 and 4, I want to say.
Who?
Dr. Aphra. Dr. Aphra.
She's on Dathomir and the middle planet of the first zone, and I think she
Yeah.
might have one more in the R9s.
But yeah, I mean, she's fun to use and she is really good against A teams. Like, you can go against a lot of teams and kick their ass, but you can still do that without Dr. Aphra. You know, she's just a different way of doing the same thing with your other teams that counter stuff. So she's fun. She's good to use. It is a lot of investment because you have to invest in speed mods on her and the team. You have to work on like IG and some other droids with her. Vader works very well with her, so does B2. But yeah, it's a lot of investment for a team that's an A tier team at best in GAC. Don't get me wrong, you can use her. She's hard counter to a lot of stuff in 5, especially with her leadership Omicron. Would I recommend that over some of these other legends and GLs and shit? No, I would. No. If I had a choice between Star Killer and Dr. Aphra, I'm gonna go Star Killer every time of the day of the week. Are you kidding me? That team is sick ass nasty. Way more powerful and can take on, GLs for Christ's sakes. So yeah. Without a datacron that has specific synergies. It just makes it easier if you do have a datacron with specific synergies and stuff. So yeah. But yeah, TB is not an influence for me on Dr. Aphra. And I agree, Aphra's fun, but yeah, I wouldn't say that. Thomas says, would you say better to go for a new Bo and Paz? I think so. We haven't seen Bo's kit though, so she could be. Eh,
I
doubt it.
doubt.
Yeah,
I doubt she's bad. Like, honestly, she's gonna be with what we see so far with the other two. There's just no way that that gets to be shitty.
at least Aphra's requirements are useful. What do you
I
mean?
mean, sort of. You required to build the team,
Yeah,
and that's it.
I mean, what do you mean? Anytime you do any of that, they're all useful in their own ways, just in different game modes and stuff. So
I mean, Sana's marginally useful. She's not really great or a meta
no,
impact in PvP on GAC side of the board.
mm-mm,
She's decent in TW with her Omicron, but it's not like,
no.
it's something that you're gonna really want to push towards.
Hondo can be good, but without his Datacron, it's hard to. You have to put him in the right team and circumstance. So he's good, but
He's fun, but it's one of those things where it's like the teams you add him to, odds are that the team was going to win with or without him
yeah.
because there's only so much that they can punch up against. And so that's kind of like the running gambit with a lot of these requirements. It's like you look at like Kelleran Beck, right? He looks incredibly nutty. He's going to be hitting just absolutely like a truck inside of different game modes in GAC. All that's true,
Paz is a
but
sick Mandalorian thing too. My God, and IG-12 is a really nice addition to that. To that light side team. He's really
oh,
good too.
dude, IG-12 is replacing Bo-Katan on that team.
Yeah,
I'm pretty confident after rereading Grogu's kit yesterday that it's that the fifth is going to be the armor.
yeah. So you have armor, bow, the new bow, Paz, IG, and then bam, and that
Yeah.
team's gonna slap, man. I mean, Paz slaps, dude. That fire and stuff he does, good lordy, he's nasty, man. He's really nasty.
Oh, and the sustain on that team is so nutty, man.
Yeah,
It's like Grogu's got a 2-turn heal that heals for 30% of his max health to 2 target allies. Well, to one, the weakest ally and the target ally, which could be the same or different.
yeah.
And Grogu's health pool, like I've got 165,000 health on him right now.
God
He
damn.
doubles it in a team in 5v5. So he's going to be healing for like, you know,
80,000, 90.
100k,
Yeah.
100k.
Question:
So,
even without seeing Bo Mandalorian's kit,
I mean, let me put it this way. What else? The reason why I would say that Bo is a better investment is because odds are that she's going to be, we already know she's a GSE Omicron character, but odds are going to be that with the team that we see right now, the rest of her components, it just looks like that's going to be a solid team with what's available.
yeah,
And so it's like, it's one of those things like, it's without knowing for certain, I doubt CG makes the same mistake and ever does 5v5 specific only GAC Omicrons again on a character because that just went over so poorly.
yeah,
It's a large reason why a lot of people forego Aphra is because her Omicrons don't work every other season of GAC. But it's just everything that we see right now points to Bo-Katan being a very solid team, and then the Datacron set that she's going to have is going to make her nutty.
yeah. Thomas says, hee hee, I'm going to say TB again, Mandalore. I don't think so. You're looking at the team makeup. The other two on the team are TW, and one's for the Mandos specifically, but Kelleran Beck is for TW. But he's not going to be really part of that. But I can see having one for TW with I think it's Paz. I don't have it in front of me right
No,
now.
Paz has
Or
got a TB on me, and then
is it
Grogu's
Grogu?
got the TW on
TW,
me.
he's the one that's going to have it. So she'll have the GAC one. So you can use them in all three phases. They're going to be really good.
Oh, that's the thing is I don't think, depending on her kit, unless they tie a ton of it, I'm pretty confident that she's gonna would do well in TB without it. my guess is that that Mandalore is going to come as an additional planet because it makes sense for them to add a new planet every 6 months.
Sure.
And because otherwise there's nothing to push towards, because like a lot of people, because right now a lot of people are going to have Zepho access, especially since we're pretty confident that Cal Kestis event is returning during Christmas. They're doing a nice massive push for it, so it kind of feels like that's what's going to happen. So Zepho is going to be on the verge of being solved very quickly and accessible to a lot of people, because Cal will be out like 3 times already. And so
Jedi Worlds Karth, how are you feeling about the new Jedi Kelleran Beck?
I mean, he's really good. The offense on him is super nutty. I mean, it's like man, in TW, man, I think it's going to be an absolute clapper of a team. I think that a lot of the counters that are out right now, people are overestimating the power and underestimating the ability of what Kelleran does.
Yeah.
Because no one's been able to test it in TW yet because the attack phase hasn't even started. And so I went and did a PvE mission with him. The way I've got him Relic 9, and then I took Anakin, Cam, Snips, and GK. I had 25 stacks of Padawan lessons, and Anakin's AoE one-shot the entire board except for the tank.
90.
So I'm going to go with that in TW. If I'm able to get to 25 stacks, I get 10% offense per stack instead of 5% offense per stack.
Right.
So, I'm going to have a cool like 250% increase on my offense, plus, what would that be? Like 500 defense penetration.
Yeah.
Like, it's going to be nutty.
Yeah. So poor Padme is going to be stuck with Gideon for now. I think next year with the 25th anniversary, we're going to see some more Galactic Republic and stuff coming into the game from episode 1, possibly. That's going to have some synergy with Padme.
Yeah, that's the hope. I mean, because honestly, it's just otherwise it just sucks, man.
Yeah.
Like I want Padme to get a Galactic Republic character that replaces Gideon off the team, because Gideon's, for a lot of people is going to full-time live with the Imperial Remnant faction after this. So after Monday.
Imagine if we use Padme with back the damage Anakin would be doing. Yeah, but you can't. So he just have to do
Yeah,
it.
there's a reason why it's GR Jedi specific. They are 100% targeting the team for Qui-Gon.
Yeah. So, I mean, we'll see. I think there's going to be some love to that team next year. We've already seen that they've split the GR fleet, so I think we're going to get some more Galactic Republic clones, stuff like that, to start filling out things. So, yeah. Oh, you're showing off your Kelleran Beck. Look at that.
Yeah.
Look at him. Look at him. Love him. Love him. Love him. You went protection primers, I'm assuming, on all those.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that's what I did too.
He's cranked. He's got.
Not with offensive crit chance, but with protection primaries. So you're just going full health on him.
I went full health because it's his unique, right? That's the main thing I'm looking at, is that if all allies are Galactic Republic Jedi, then he loses 40% of his max health and gains double that as max protection.
Okay.
So I wanted to push. Right now, my idea was to push the team as high as possible in the damage like they get, because they're gonna, honestly, his stats are not that impressive, and nor are his multipliers. His big hit, Jedi Bravery, is probably the most of what he's got going on. So I wanted to maximize that and then maximize the offense being given to the rest of the team so that they gain tons and tons. What else is R9 really optimal? How much more significant is R9? for the best Jedi. So this is part of what happens is that attackers and supports and healers in this game do not gain protection in their relic stats until R9. So with how he's modded right now, which I think is 4 protection primaries. Yeah, 4 protection primaries. The 6,000 protection I gain from him going to R9 translates to basically 12,000 protection. So it gives you one more stack of Jedi lessons. It gives you a little bit more health in the character. And I can't tell if it's just my stream that's coming through shitty or
Did you hit the
I did hit that button.
I don't know.
It just looks really
Wonky?
choppy on the screen. Anyways, but is it required? What else? No. But if you want to maximize his damage output, then it's going to be a fun thing to run with, because attackers gain that 6,000% or 6,000%. Jesus Christ, 6,000 protection gain at that level.
And we blame Finn.
Precisely. Anyways. Oh, while I have it open, I can let me real quick flex some other stuff.
Oh. So it's now what we're doing is showing off with Carthaginigus here.
The wailing ways.
Wailing ways with Carthaginigus.
We're just waiting for more questions to come in. That's all. Now the Paz's stats are just redonkulous. It's like 100k health, 170k protection. He's 100, over 300 speed. He's gonna be nutty. And then you got your boy. Come here, Grogu. Grogu's just nutty too. 163k health. He gains his heal does 30% of his max. He heals on every turn he takes for 20% of his max health. It's super nutty. It's gonna be such a fun team to
We're
run.
having an issue here, and I don't know if it's YouTube. YouTube just popped in that there's an error, so I'm not sure what's going on.
Well, I'll stop sharing.
Yeah, I'm not sure what the hell that was. Could be we're getting a lot of rain right now, so maybe the internet's being weird, but I'm not seeing any dropped frames or anything on it's still green, so I don't know.
Well, it was being weird on my half too. So either it's a YouTube.
Not sure what that was. That was weird. Okay, not sure what that was, folks. Should be okay now, so yeah. Could be a YouTube problem. It's not a me problem. I haven't dropped any frames or anything like that, so I don't know. I don't care. I love it. All right, get your questions in, guys. Make sure you put the word question for any extra question, comment, or statement. Make sure you hit the thumbs up. It's right there in front of you. Just hit the thumbs up. It helps the video out. Share the video, all that kind of good stuff. But yeah, we're here to answer your questions. Close to the top of the hour. You got me and Carthaginigus and whoever else decides to show up on Jedi Academy. Oh, goodness. What a day. Anything else? Paz is killing Karth's Wi-Fi. No, I don't think that was Karth. That was something going on with YouTube. Still says it's got an error, but looks like it's fine. I don't know. YouTube's shitting the bed. It happens, Karth, when you deal with technology, software. Yeah. These things happen.
I mean, when you have the greatest Mandalorian tank at Relic 9, the game kind of just starts to freak out.
Mm-hmm. I do not. So, yeah.
I mean, you'll get there.
I'm working on it. Yeah. I mean, I'm trying. I
mean, let's be honest. The only reason I took the other guy, I took Kelleran up, was because I got the pull, right? Mm-hmm. Otherwise, he would be sitting at 5 stars in my account until he hit shipments. Right. So, like, that was 100% was like, I did not spend anything more than what I intended to spend on the character.
What is 73 question for Paz? I've seen a lot of mixed stats and mods for him. More protection, more health, more offense. Should protect or health be higher?
So the big thing right now is a lot of people are making assumptions off of his kit and the blurb from CG on Bo-Katan utilizing true damage as part of her leadership. So people are pushing him to be more offensive to up his true damage. But in my head, you slap 50% offense on a tank, they're going to gain maybe 1,000, couple thousand offense, but you're only going to get up to like 7 or 8K on a tank. So you're not going to have a meaningful shift in damage. But I don't know if you would do that. For where I went with mine is the way I looked at it was based off of, I think, his first special recovers protection equal to 10% of his protection. And then his second special, I believe, that does protection up. Then the basic doesn't do anything interesting. Pass gains 10% defense and max health for each other Mandalorian ally, and 15% in max health for light side ally. Whenever Paz gains taunt, he dispels it and gains resilient defense. Paz has plus 10% critical wins and defense for each stack of resilient defense. Start the encounter. Frenzy and 2 stacks of resilient defense. Gains 1 stack of heat. Yeah, so I see a lot of people putting him high for the high health for his unique gain, because he gains so much max health out of that. But I figure I want his protection recovery to be better, and then let the unique fill in the void, because he's going to gain what? Is it for each other? Let me read that real quick. Yeah, for each other. So he'll gain 60% max health. So it's like, if I built him for all health primaries instead of protection, then, I would I would have probably another 20 or 30K health on him. So 60% of that. It would be okay. Your protection up is fine, but I think your protection up is dispellable, which is why I didn't want to. Yeah. The protection up he gains is dispellable, and I don't like that being the case. So
Yeah.
if it were like a locked protection up like JMK is, then I would probably lean heavier into protection. But I like the Ancestral Broadside recovers protection to all allies equal to 10% of his. So the bigger that pool is, the more you're going to recover. So every time he uses that Ancestral Broadside right now, he's recovering like a 17K to the entire team. So
All right, Jedi rule question: what are the next Galactic Republic characters or ships that are coming? I think we're gonna get some like Yoda Starfighter. We'll see a couple more clone ships. Nothing crazy. And maybe for episode 1 they bring Padme's,
well, and
ship in as a support ship.
that's
Something along
why
those lines. Maybe the Naboo Starfighter.
Yeah, I hope they kind of bring out the Naboo faction, to be honest,
That would be fun. Yeah.
or something like that, that kind of then pulls Padme into a separate team, and then they can still be Galactic Republic. They're going to
They're
be
more Nubian.
Nubian, but
Nubian.
that's why I'm interested to see why they because I mean, besides the fact that Disney owns CG by through
Osmosis.
yep, that it's interesting that they chose the Clone Wars version of Darth Bane.
Yeah, it was.
And so I feel like that's also part of the theme is that we're going to go back to the Clone Wars era, Galactic Republic kind of thing. Like, yeah, it's going to be the Phantom Menace, but the Phantom Menace is so limited as to what you can pull out from because there's just so few characters that could vibe with the teams that we already have in place that you would need to definitely look through the Clone Wars a bit more to expand that out, and into episode 2 at least to kind of expand that out. So I could see next year being a heavy influence towards Galactic Republic and the early Star Wars episodes. I think they're going to give Ahsoka more time to cook before they bring it out, which is good because I would rather have more impactful, meaningful characters and then more thought into the factions they want to produce. So, if they want to do Thrawn as Imperial Remnant, or if they want to make him the heir, make the tag the heir to the Empire or whatever, make that a tag, and then have Thrawn be specifically for that. So there's very little crossover. I'm fine with that, but I just want them to flesh out the factions. I don't want them to go, hey, we just built this Dark Trooper Moff Gideon team. Now enjoy taking everything out of that team and putting it with Galactic Legend Thrawn, right? Like I'm just tired of that mentality.
All right, Ray Rock question: what is a good counter to Seer, Crew, and Malicos? I lost round 1 with Traya, Nihilus, Savage, and then lost with Palp, Mary Jade, and Stalkular for finally taking in Slacker, Watt, and it's a nasty team.
Well, and for whatever reason right now, Traya is just not.
You have to have a really strong defensive cron with it. You have to be able to take those hits so you can get Nihilus off, take out Malicos, and then,
Yeah, you gotta have just balling deep on defense and health, and that's a hard combination set to get. I think for a lot of people, they're just moving to using C Watt or something like that, and then it doesn't matter. You just go link Crew and Malicos, and then call it a day. You can put Set in there if you want to, just to someone to eat a punch if you need it. But yeah, I don't think it really matters.
It's a nasty team. It is a very nasty team. So
yeah, it was a well-designed team. CG did a good job with that. It's bringing up all these A-tier teams into the ranks that are kind of they need good counters.
Yeah, I agree. All right. So get your questions in. What else in 3? I got a 20 pull once a couple years ago. I did too when they had the packs were cheaper and you had a higher pull rate on it. I think the best I got was a 15 or 18 or whatever.
I liked the ones they did for Arc and Brood Alpha, where it cost more for each pull, but the minimum pull was like triple of what the normal marquee was.
Yeah, so you spent less and got more from it basically in the long term because you got more shards for less crates.
Yeah. So it was like the minimum was 25.
Like it was like
25 was the minimum you could get.
Yeah.
But that would require like 3 to 4 pulls at the previous marquee pack. Like if you want, I get why they don't want to do that with every release, but I think if you want to push out characters just for the sake of filling out teams, then that's not a bad way of doing it, is doing a few more of those where it's like, hey, we're not, it's a simplistic kit. It's not anything too crazy. We're not going to drop a triple Zeta character here, but this will help bolster XYZ faction. Here you go. But I'm really hoping, I just want to know who the Light Side Conquest character is going to be. That's all I want to know. I really want it to be Cecile Sean, but if they're going to do a Phantom Menace theme,
well, maybe it's a ship. We haven't. It could be a ship.
Well, we would be due for a ship at that time. That's the part that is almost infuriating to me. Is part of me goes, oh, it's going to be a GR ship, isn't it? They're going to give us a ship to make Mace useful.
Well, either clone ships or they, because we're moving ships over to Mace's fleet. But I mean, if we got Yoda's Jedi Starfighter, I'd be like okay with it. I wouldn't be
Well,
upset about.
we need more Jedi
Yeah,
for a negotiator to kind of function, right? Because of you're stealing too many things when you take away Fives and Rex and Marauder out of your negotiator lineups. So that's kind of a pain in the butt. So we need something to move that ball forward on. We need something that changes that up.
Be more Fett says question: what's the order for Omnis on GLO and Malgus?
Amis on GLO. I mean, I'm assuming you mean Zetas on Galactic Legend Leia and Amis on Malgus. Is that what we're looking for?
Says what's the order for Omnis on
Yeah,
GLO and
but
Malgus?
GLO doesn't have Amis unless they're using an acronym I'm not familiar with.
Yeah, clarify what you mean there. Be more Fett.
Who is GLO? Because I'm going to.
Drogon have an Omicron?
Drogon has an Ami, yeah, but
Yeah, it's not
it's not
Leia.
him. I mean, his isn't really needed either.
Well, we
So
can talk about Malgus now. I think I put all of his on because they're just so fucking ridiculously good. But if you had to go order,
we have that pin in our Discord. Let me pin it. Look it up real fast. This is what our boy Calvin Awesome recommended. So for Malicos himself, right? Are we talking about Malgus? Oh,
Malgus.
Malgus. Oh,
Yeah,
hold on. Brain fart. Okay, let me walk that back because now it's another different kettle of fish we're frying here. Because I thought Malicos, because that's what we've been talking about all morning. Malgus, he is definitely, you want his leadership Omicron.
I know that was
Like
the first one. Yeah, Legacy
that's
of
the first
Power
one.
because
Yeah, Legacy of.
that gives that big boost of mastery, speed, crit
Mhm,
avoidance.
mhm.
Um, damage is decreased by 15%. They do all kinds of crazy shit on. And then the doubt on that is pretty important. I don't know what's the next one.
The Korriban's legacy is a nice one to have. But it really only is a functional threat in 5v5. It's not great in 3v3, but it's a nice one to have. Deprived senses
That's what
is
I'm
one of
looking
those,
at.
is like the one that can easily get just left behind.
Yeah.
Um okay, so yeah, he was talking about Leia. Yeah,
Okay,
there's
okay,
no
okay. That's
omnis
what
on
I
Leia's.
thought, but I didn't want to just be like, what do you mean?
Yeah, it's like no. So the leadership on Malgus 100% required to even be
Yeah,
usable in GAC or be a threat. I guess is a better way of
yeah.
phrasing that. Korriban's legacy is nice, but it's kind of like Aphra's Amis. It's only really good in 5v5. It's not really strong in 3v3 comparatively speaking because doubt doesn't spread nearly as much because there's just less people
It's
to spread to.
situational.
Yeah. And then deprived sense is like one of those things where it's like certain moments it'll be really nice to have, but it's kind of the same boat as Korriban's legacy. In 3v3, it's not really that pertinent because usually you're splitting your teams up too much to make a difference on utilizing like an unresistible shock. Because like if you had like Malgus and Bastila, then Bastila can target that. But that's it. You can't trust the AI to play that on defense. So you could probably go without it. And it would never really have a major impact on your character. But at least the leadership for sure. Corbin's legacy, I would put as it's nice to have, but if you're strapped for Omicrons and you have other ones that are more important, I would go there first and then come back. Deprived senses is like, if you like having all your Omicrons, then go nuts. Otherwise,
Well, they really
yeah.
tie in together with the fear and everything that starts stacking and everything like that. So yeah, you can get away with not having the other two, but man, having that really can make a difference in a fight because that fear and debuffs and stuff gets really fucking nasty. But yeah, just do the leadership. And his car said, if you need something more, yeah, but I think Malgus is one of those characters. I was looking at it like, yeah, I'm putting them all. Just like, yeah. All right, next question. Richard Marzullo, welcome to the stream. Says question: thoughts on if we'll get another Return of the Rise of the Empire unlockable character next year? I think it's definitely on the board. I wouldn't. This one was third
My head
sister.
says my head says yes.
Yes.
That's gonna be the case because they're gonna have to keep the engagement in TB
Yes. Not just
high.
rewards. Zepho's one
Yeah.
thing, but that's like an in between, playing in between characters that they put in, right?
Well,
Yeah.
but Zepho was an expansion of the event character they were bringing in, right? Like
Right.
that was the reason they brought in Zepho was because they brought in uh Jedi Knight Cal and they wanted to have that expressed into the game, and it's just something else for people to work on. It's a little bit lower hanging fruit. It's a lot more. It's interesting for lower people. I'm fairly confident Bo-Katan's release will usher in Mandalore, and I'm hopeful that that planet has a character to farm. Presumably, I would want something that makes Moff Gideon and an Imperial Remnant good inside of GAC. But if not, I mean, I'm open to other ideas of what they could produce on that.
Yeah.
Maybe it could be a ship, maybe it could be something like that. Who knows?
Yeah.
But yeah.
All right. Jada Rose question: will there be any more rebel ships in the game? It feels like Home One doesn't have enough ships. All right, here we go with the Rebel 5 ship. Okay, yeah. Eventually, yes. They need to fill that fleet out. It is sorely lacking since everything's gone to Radis. So yeah, definitely.
They need to do a second. Well, no, what they need to do is they need to capitalize on the mechanics from Kyle Katarn's ship, the
The
Raven's Claw, I
Raven's
want to
Claw,
say.
yeah.
Yeah. They need to capitalize on like foresight mechanics, which is going to be really interesting for the Rebel fleet because they've always been like target locks and assisting. So like they need to kind of capitalize in on like what the Ravenclaw is doing with that because they need more assisting, but they also need like dispelling too. Like there was so much power in the Millennium Falcon dispelling on a basic that they're really sorely lacking now. I would kind of hope that we do get some more rebel action in that front, but I really hope it's like I don't mind Red 5 being a thing, don't get me wrong, it could be fun. It would be interesting to see how who they put in as pilots for it. If they wanted to do that, but I'd also be a little bit more interested in them doing like an A wing or a B wing
Yeah, we need some
to
ships
help.
like that.
I want variety. Like as much as I Red 5 would be cool to have in the game, I want variety. We have we have the models in game for the A wing and the B wing, and yet we don't use them. And I would
Yeah.
much rather prefer having that. I would love to have that as an option. I mean, even if it's the prototype B wing from Rebels, where it can
Don't care.
one shot a capital ship and like that's fine. I don't give a shit. Like that sounds like a good time to me.
Mm-hmm.
But I that's what I would want from a rebel fleet if they do anything else. I don't really want to see more X-wings. I would really prefer to see more variety.
So we will see what happens. All right, keep your questions coming in. Make sure you put the word question for any actual question, comment, or statement. Give your greeting. Say hi to me in the car. See how all this goes. We're here to do. They're here to answer your questions for the next, I don't know, 40 minutes or so. Remember, at the top at noon Central, 1 Eastern, we'll have our new video out from me and Karth. You guys can check that out right after Jedi Academy. There's no Dungeons and Dragons today, as far as I know. So we'll be chilling the rest of the weekend. And then Monday, we'll be back for RG. That's our last round. But that's because I was kind of some fun. I was doing some fun things, having a good time. So yeah. So get your questions in. Again, follow the example. That just helps me identify questions easier. And if I miss a question, just feel free to type and say, hey, you missed my question. I'll go back and check and see. Ray Rock says, what about the A-Wing that took down the Executor? Green Leader? Hell yeah. Concentrate all full firepower. I don't want anything getting through. Too late. He sacrificed his life to take out the Superstar Destroyer. He went full sacrifice. Hey, Wolfman, saying hi to everybody. And whaling Karth. Yeah, there's Karth. He's the whaler. Yeah. Har, he be a big whale. Har. The whaling cannoneer be making an appearance. Har. Rokaran, what's going on? Says question. What mod set do you think is the most overlooked?
Like you just mean like the sets, like the actual sets, like speed, defense, health, tenacity, that
I
kind
think
of stuff.
defense gets overlooked the most. People don't really think about that for their tanks. And some tanks you don't need it, but I think defense is the one set because you're so concentrated on the other ones, right? That you don't really think about defense and your defensive stats on your tanks. I think that one gets the most overlooked.
For me, I would say it's potency and tenacity sets. People just kind of all
Yeah, I
together
think
don't
that's a
really
good one
care
too.
about them because you get like health sets so frequently that people just throw health sets to fill any void past a 4 set.
Yeah.
They don't really ever push for getting good potency and tenacity sets. And so that caused a lot of heartache towards the end because people were like, well, I only need tenacity sets for these like 5 characters, so that's all I'm going to farm. And it's just like,
You need them for a
yeah,
lot more than
but
that.
well, it's just the sets like potency. I can understand why potency is not a huge favorite because it adds such a little stat boost, right? It's 15% for a 2 set. Whereas tenacity is 20%, so it feels, even though it's only 5% more, it feels a little bit better when you're doing it.
Yeah.
So that's kind of the vibe I get with that. But at the end of the day, we'll see what kind of shakes loose.
Yeah, I think I would throw defense in that category as well. Defense with good defensive stats can be very valuable to your tanks and support characters. People forget about your
Yeah.
support characters. Like my gas has a defensive set on him, because it's like I want his defense up. So yeah, when you're in the store and you see a potency, pretty much the hard ones to get are your. I mean, the circle, the diamond, the square, and the arrows, potency, tenacity, anything that has speed but has that good secondary of potency and tenacity, scoop it up because they're good to get. But what you really need to be looking out for is those crosses like tenacity, yes, please. Potency, yes, please. It's like if I got speed on a potency cross, that's potency. It's like, I can use that in a lot of good places. And if I hit speed on it, it's like, that's a fucking win, So your Darth Vaders and some other characters that, you may want to have potency on with high speed. That's a great way to do that. And there's certain characters that do need potency. They need potency badly. There are certain stats that you want to hit, whether it's a GL or some of your big characters that need potency. They're not landing their D-bus, you're screwed. And then on the other side, like Bosk, I've got tenacity speed set on him, but I do want tenacity on Bosk. If he can avoid getting ability blocked and shit, that's pretty nice, I don't know, Karth, I may be crazy on that, but
I mean a little, but we aren't going to talk about that.
And like our build for Leia, she is straight up tenacity. People have been asking us about that. It's like, yeah, she's 200% tenacity with really decent speed. How do you think we got that? Because we worked on tenacity sets, so these mods matter. So John Pneumatic says welcome John says any interesting TW counters you guys have learned recently? It's pretty straightforward, Garth. I mean, anything interesting? Been pretty straightforward fights.
It's been less than exciting for us for a long time. Not gonna lie about when it comes to TW because we either are punching up massively or we are just beating the crap out of kindergartners. So it's hard to say if we have anything interesting because either we're out of our depth or we're just not doing anything interesting. It's like we're not going to fight any.
But yeah, in
team.
TW, it's pretty much straight counter versus straight counter. It's not like we're doing anything crazy, because it's mainly GL walls and stuff that you've run in the front, It's either Inquisitors or a Star Killer wall with a GL wall, or it's back-to-back GL walls with one of those teams in the back, or GL wall, and then like say Inquisitors behind that or something. It's not like it's not something that you're just like, oh my god, surprise, surprise, surprise! Look what we found. So the counters are pretty much locked in. So it's not like we're finding anything that's like we don't know what to do with. What really comes down to in the fights is the datacrons, and if your team, even though you have the counter, you need the right datacron sometimes in the team build with mods and everything to actually counter the counter. Or to counter the team you're facing. That's the only interesting thing that I see in TW, Karth. I mean, you're the TW officer. What do you have to say?
I mean, it's just hard to say because it's like a lot of the interesting stuff gets flushed out between Datacron sets being
Yeah.
active. So like the only interesting one that I know of right now is the Imperial Troopers versus Jabba counter in TW. But that counter is, it's mod dependent. It requires characters
Relics
that,
too.
yeah, relics are really good on it. It's not something that you can just switch over and do. You have to have the investment there. You need your Magma Trooper R5 roughly. You need um your Death Trooper R5. You need Veers and Range Trooper R5 minimum, stuff like that. It just gets really challenging to invest in some of those off meta counters that just you don't see a lot of viability outside of the one thing it does. So
Mm-hmm. Oh, good morning, Desi Jingle Snarf, Snarfy Snarf. Oh, good morning. She has awakened from her slumber. Her beauty takes hold of all of us. Michael Paulson, I think people aren't as comfortable making decisions on defense tank since everything else is speed offense focused. Certain characters are, but you have to think outside of that mentality. Yeah, you have to have characters that have speed and offense, right, Karth? But you also need tanks and support. And if they're dying, you're not doing very well.
yeah, you got to balance it out
Don't get me wrong,
correctly.
speed and offense is your primary things to go for, but you still got to work on those sets too. But just be very picky in the store. Gold mods that have certain stats, have that speed that you want to go for. Don't spend on anything else. Especially, I see people buying blues and purples. Rarely will I buy a blue and purple unless it's got something really tasty on it, like a tenacity. Like, okay, I don't give a shit what this. I'll go back and fix the speed, but it's potency, primary with speed on a blue. I'm like, yeah, let's give that a shot. But aside of that, or offense, something like that, I rarely buy anything that's not gold. And even now, I'm like, with our limited space card, that's like, if it ain't 5 speed and have the right stats, I'm not even fucking with it. Because it's like, if it's offensive triangle with defense primary, I'm like, nope. It's like, it just got other crazy stats. It's like, I see it has speed, but no, I'm not doing that. Kiss my ass.
Not interested. Okay,
Not
thanks.
interested.
Bye.
Bye bye. Have a nice day. Wolfman says, any thoughts on what you're planning on using Kelleran Beck for next GAC or 5, especially with Karth, who has him max already? Yes, Relic 9.
I mean, so in threes, I see him leading his own team, but unfortunately, that either means that you want Qui-Gon to do a lot less. Like either way, you neuter the Qui-Gon's team, right? Like I don't see either one of the teams is going to suffer because you got to take the core component of the team, which is Cam and Anakin, to one of those two teams to make it usable, which is what it is. So with that being the case, it's not gonna. I don't see him being any kind of majorly impactful in 3v3. You could maybe split Cat to another team and put him under JMK and have some of those mechanics work because it's still decent, but it wouldn't be like you wouldn't be fighting GLs with it kind of thing, right? So I have a hard time seeing doing anything being like really powerful there. So outside of that, I just look at it and go, in 5v5 he will be the fourth under the team, and then you'll take I like Mace there, but I don't really want to give up Mace offensively. So I don't know if I would do
Kit
that,
Festo
but
and Ethka to the rescue.
Kit Fisto's not a bad shout, to be honest with you. But the problem is that Kelleran Beck only gives the Padawan lessons when he's to the other allies when he's in leadership. So it's like you really don't want to go that direction. You'd probably want to go with a support like Barris or Lumi because you just need to endure more because that team is now has a survivability angle that didn't exist before.
Mm.
So I would honestly say that Barris would probably be my go-to in 5v5 as the fifth. Lumi wouldn't be a bad one if you're willing to mod her out and for her to be relatively quick, so she can get her cleanse off
I
of
love
after
it.
Echo does his bullshit. But that being beside the point, I think that would be kind of the direction I would head with him. Inside of TW, then it's going to be just Kelleran Beck leads and Qui-Gon takes the bench, and then watch as chaos rains down upon your opponents.
I don't care. I love it. Let's see here. Maximus242 question: would you do Captain Rex Omnicron or Drogon's Omni first?
Captain
Yeah,
Rex.
Captain Rex. I mean, Drogon helps, but you can still do very good stuff with GLA without it. That Omni on Rex changes the whole dynamic of that team. It is super badass. So yeah. See it. He said it. He said it, Garth. He said it. I think he means it.
He did.
Yeah. Oh, goodness gracious. Great balls of fire. Mm-mm-mm. So, yeah. Rayrock question: can you see CG giving Beskar Armor Gideon a ship so we can have both Chimera and Executrix with full fleet? I can see him giving him one.
I I don't see them doing it because the Empire fleet right now is kind of in a nice little sweet spot, and I don't see them changing that because the Empire fleet, as it sits currently, is either a major pain in the ass,
Yes.
um, with how it's set up to do what it does, or the it's like if your opponent puts the Leviathan down, you can use the best of the Empire to take out the Leviathan the majority of the time.
Right.
But if they don't do that, you can still then effectively split the Empire team to counter both the Executor and the Profundity lineups. So it's like it's one of those things where it's like, man, it's a kind of a nice sweet spot because you can split it depending on what your opponent puts, or you can condense it down to one team that's going to likely win versus most meta fleets. So I think Empire's in a good spot for that. I can't really see them doing a hell of a lot more with that. And if they really wanted to move towards a new fleet, I would suspect that they would give GL Thrawn a new capital ship, which would be an incredibly interesting way for them to do that because the pilot would be so much more powerful than any other pilot we've ever had. Like the stats scaling off of that would be ridiculous. So I don't know if they would do him as the GL, but there's options for that. But I think if they wanted to do more Empire, they would either need to fully commit to splitting the teams, for Executrix to take the Scythe and the TIE Fighter and need like a better reinforcement, and then Chimera to take the rest of that fleet, and be more obnoxious. But I at the moment I can't see the TIE Defender being split from the Chimera, and that's the thing is if they do anything to the Empire fleet, it's basically they need to add another Defender type ship, something that just absolutely pumps turn meter and hits like a goddamn truck.
All right. What else in three? I did put the Omicron on Luminar, and she's like 7 for TB. Congrats.
Hey, it's a fun one to have. It's
Someday.
interesting.
Someday.
She just needs better modding, in my opinion, for me at least to be good.
Well,
But
they just need to go back and revamp those older kits and add some stuff to those Jedi. I mean, it's kind of disappointing. This is
they
coming from
need
a guy that loves his Sith and especially his Mandalorians. But even I can admit, Karth, that there's some Jedi on the Jedi teams that are pretty non-useful. I mean, they can be in situations, but man, their kits have really gotten old and outdated and just not very.
a lot of it is too is like a lot of the old kits don't have uniques,
Mm-hmm.
and that's a huge like step back for a lot of designing that they used to do. So it's one of those things where it's like, man, I really wish you guys had some more stuff to work here because that would be great, but um we don't. So we have to
Oh,
live without it. But the
Kitty.
the
Thoughts, things, words.
those
Okay. All
words
right.
are hard.
Just let me think. All right, Maximus question: what team will this new Gideon be home, and how important is he to take to relics? It's not a priority for me. I mean, Bo
Are we
is and
talking
Darth
about
Bane, the new
outside of
Gideon.
TW
Outside of
or
TW, I mean, I mean, he's got a TW cron, right? So in TW, sure,
mhm.
if you're a TW guild focus, I could see him being a priority, right? But outside of that, it's like throw him on Lord Vader. Omicron don't matter anyway. But I mean, when you look at like I have to make decisions in this game, Karth. For me, it's like Bo-Katan, Darth Bane. Gideon's not a priority. I mean, I may do him afterwards, but he's not a priority with gear and stuff as compared to those characters coming out. I just can't see myself, I can't make all the investment in all those characters without sacrifice. And it's like when Tesla came out and some other stuff and before, last year, I was like, no, I'm going to skip those because I know something's around the corner better. So for me, Bo is important. Getting those three characters up and getting that team up and running with the Mandos, and then adding Kelleran Beck to the lineup, and then Bane's going to be a lifter. So how the hell am I going to go after Gideon? Which I think he's going to be a good character, but it's not a priority. It's something I'll wait till later to do. But if I did do
Yeah,
it, what would be the team, Carth?
if you were going to invest into him outside of TW, his team is to go with full dark side Mandalorians, right? Like
Yeah.
that's the team he's supposed to go with in it outside of TW, or you can use him as a fifth for Lord Vader. Because some people do not have the ability to, I mean, you don't have like Gar and ISC leveled up. Your Mandos aren't in a good spot, so it's a not a really good investment for you. So I can see why some people wouldn't want to do like the Mando team, but then you have a backup option of putting that with Lord Vader. And Lord Vader in general just wants high relic characters with him anyways. So he has a home in both fronts, but I think for a lot of people, if you don't really need it in GAC, like will it be more difficult? Sure, to a degree, but it's not like it's going to be critical by any measure. So
Why is Moff Gideon not a priority? Just curious. And Rock Karen says Bane isn't for months though, because if you think about I'll just throw one piece of gear out there. Chirotex.
yeah,
If
he's
I'm doing Kelleran Beck, Paz Vizsla, IG-12, Bo-Katan, and then I'm got to say for Bane, who's probably going to be 500 or 600 Chirotex just for that character. That alone, getting those characters, and the drop rate and getting those, even with the raid and everything, getting those characters up. If I can do him, I will, but he's not a priority. And I know Bane's a ways away, but after I do Bo-Katan, I've got all the Zetas on, but get the armor, do all that stuff, right? Get them to high relics, even at the fast pace that I farm stuff, right? Once I get those three characters done, then I have to do the Bo, and she's probably going to be 400 to 500, Chirotex alone there with everything else. And then once that's done, then I'm going to be at pretty much zero And if I have to make a choice between Beskar, Gideon, working on him and getting him up with Chirotex and stuff, or saving and getting everything ready for Bane, that's why I'm going to do it. I'm
Yeah,
not going to
because
spend for it, and farming Chirotex is like horrible. So if I'm in a position to get both of them, I will. But if I have to make a choice, my priorities is Darth Bane, who's a lifter, and the Bo-Katan team with all those characters, because we know Kelleran Beck and these characters are really bloody good. And it's not that Gideon isn't good, but I mean he's kind of like
it's
Aphra. If I have him, he's nice to have, but if I don't have him, I'm not going to be sitting there going, "Oh no."
it's not critical, right? Like not having him online has no impact on your account. It's the same thing with, like you said, the same thing with Aphra. Not having Aphra does not really impact most accounts unless you're like super early on and you just need more things that can counter GLs. So it's not going to have the biggest thing with it. The reason why it's like you got to be careful with your resource management is if a character is not going to move the needle forward on your account, it's not going to make a team better, like empirically. Like you're going to have us like Vader jumps to a 90% hold rate against every GL with Moff Gideon present. Then what's the point in throwing all that gear onto him? Whereas like every single marquee for Bo-Katan requires 400 Kairos, and then Bo-Katan herself, being a epic confrontation character, is going to likely need 4 to 6, somewhere in there. But the other problem is that, especially for like where Ranger's at specifically, is he has to be ready to pounce on Bo-Katan immediately. And so if Bo-Katan is coming in the next 6 weeks, the odds are he's going to need all of that 6 weeks to farm the gear to get the marquees to R7 by the time her event drops. So it's like, do you stop now and do Moff Gideon, or wait until Bo-Katan's in, you have her, and then bring him up after? That's kind of, I guess, where the thought process is behind it. It's like, it's not that he's not good, it's not that he's not usable, it's just that you this game is all about resource management. And so if you're not going to just wail on every single piece of gear and you got to commit to something, then committing to Bo-Katan seems like the smart play, because you only have, if it follows the other epic competitions that we had in the game, the you only have like 3 days to unlock her, and it's
Yeah.
going to be a challenging event. So it just seems like, why would you want to risk missing out on that character? If you're going to invest into it, you need to make sure you have everything there.
Yeah. Question: what kind of feats are we predicting for this upcoming conquest for Bane? No idea, but I can guarantee it's going to be stuff that's going to require Beck, Vizsla, and Grogra. I'll tell you that much right now, because that's the pattern that they have.
I
I
guarantee
guarantee
you
goddamn that's going to be something that's going
they're
to be needed for those
they
characters, and
they
that's going
they
to be the big.
do.
That's going to be the big pain point for people.
Yeah, I guarantee you they do like one, like the big multi-feat ones. Like I guarantee like it's a prescribed team that requires like Paz and Grogu on the same team, or it's a prescribed GR team, or it's like you have to get a certain number of kills with like Keller and Beck in like Sector 5.
Yeah,
you know, like I guarantee you they do shit like that. And then the other stuff is just like thematic. There's probably gonna get 40 Imperial Remnant kills, or battles completed. Get 40 Mandalorian battles completed. There are just gonna be things like that. And then I can almost say that outside of that, there will be some Sith themed stuff in it as well.
yeah,
They did have some, because this one's what dark. They didn't really, well, they had some Empire and Imperial Remnant stuff theming towards the last sectors, but they do like to incorporate stuff that people aren't working on, because it just becomes a pressure point. Like hence why we had plague, feat in there that doesn't really make sense for Night Sisters to really be a part of it, unless you take the very small tangent from what we saw in the Ahsoka series, which is not related to Dark Trooper Moff Gideon, who is dead at this point. So
details.
yeah, so it's just things like that, but it's
They're
that's
going to be
kind of
ridiculous
what I
and
see.
stuff. So it's just like, you know, God Almighty.
Yeah, they're gonna have just annoying things for us to do. That's what they do. They just go, what do people not have? All right, throw that in as a feat.
All right, so keep your questions there. I'm going to go for a little while longer here, and then don't forget top of the hour, Karth. We got our new video coming out, so everybody can check that out. And once Jedi Academy ends, it's going to pop, and then you can go watch the video from me and Karth. I'm not going to tell you what it's about, but I bet it's quite informative. Clue, we've had questions about it already in the Jedi Academy, so you'll see. Question: when will CG fix Conquest? It's been boring for the last 12 months. No idea. No
Good luck.
idea.
Good luck. That's all I got for you.
I'm dreaming of a non-religious, non-secular Christmas. Oh, ads want to pop up? Fuck off. They actually put a button in front of you now on YouTube. It says ads will play in 45 seconds. Like, nah. What else 73 says about Gideon had clones? Perhaps he's mostly dead. Mostly dead.
Yeah,
You never
sure.
know with Star Wars.
Sure.
No, we pretty much saw him
Yeah.
die, Wolfman. He went in out of and he died. Yeah, I mean,
Well,
but
and
that doesn't mean he's dead though.
but that's the thing is they intentionally go through the dialogue of Moff Gideon being furious that they killed all of his clones.
Right.
Like they go through the effort of stating that in the show. So there's like, if they wanted to, yeah, don't get me wrong, they can pull it out of their ass. Like, well, we had a second cloning facility at Mount Tannis, and so, or Tantus, or whatever the hell it's called. It's like, okay, whatever. But they went through a lot of effort to make it appear that Moff Gideon is that threat has been neutralized, and the reason for that is because the whole Mandoverse is building to the culmination of the Heir to the Empire events, right? Where we're going to have Thrawn showing up and doing his thing. So he needs to be the villain. You can't have multiple villains of equal power and tact and goodness.
Unless you had like a Game of Thrones scenario where they were,
but that's never been Star Wars style, man.
No,
that would be such a cluster of things to try to control on that. They would need to really slow down their production and build out the reasons for that before we go down that road.
Let's see here. Let me guess. You followed Rand for an entire weekend with a small video camera. Is that the video being released? No. And I'm offended that you would even say that, Linky, because I would never subject the skewers to that kind of footage ever. I have some respect for you guys. I wouldn't do that. And you know I wouldn't do that, Linky. So boo Linky. Everybody boo Linky in the chat for even suggesting it. How dare you? And congrats to Rambam again. May 86. Very nice. Why he wasn't around yesterday. He was out with the homies and homettes doing a little celebration. I don't blame him. I never saw season 3 of Mando technically. I did play that for everybody. I've done Mando season 3. I did Ahsoka. I showed that in there. Ray Rock will have to get you. God damn it, Ray Rock. We'll have to set up a time so you can just watch it. Is it just Mando season 3? God damn it. What are the predictions for season 3 of the Bad Batch? Yeah, they're going full Terminator, man. And I'm not really spoiling anything, but Hunter's angry. He's very, very angry, and I feel bad for whoever's going to get in his way. The Bad Batch are angry, and so is Rex and the rest of the clones. There's going to be some Armageddon in season 3.
Well, they're going to have the clone revolt, right? Like that's going to be the thing. Like, because they're going to explain.
I did, Desi.
They're going to explain why Rex, Wolf, and Gregor were on the middle of some backwater desert planet on an old ATTE hunting sandworms, right? Like they need to have the clones because that was the thing is that initially it was thought that the clones became the stormtroopers. But the reality is that they're showing that's not what they wanted to happen, and they're pivoting away from that, and they're moving to where the stormtroopers are just conscripted, brainwashed people, or just people who needed something else to do, and they chose to sign up. Because that part does exist as well for the Imperial Academies, things like that. So it was one of those things where they they had to make that choice into getting rid of the clone. So the Bad Batch is going to end with a clone rebellion, and then it going absolutely shitty. But I think the only thing that it will accomplish is basically in their heads will be the complete destruction of cloning, at least on a massive scale. And then, of course, we'll find out that shit got moved to Mount Tantus, and well, we already know that actually. Um, but that's the direction they'll head. Is that they're going to try to get rid of actually no, because they already got rid of the cloning facility on Camino.
Yeah.
It would need to be getting rid of the cloning facility on Mount Tantus, which they've been to, haven't they? That's where they because don't they
No,
escape there? Escape from there at some point? They're getting like attacked by all the clone commandos and stuff like that.
I have to go back and remember off the top of my head. I think so. We know that what's his butt is in there, and so now is Omega. Could be. I don't know if they went to that facility. It was another facility. I can't remember off the top.
I
of my
can't
head.
remember either. Yeah.
Oh, it's Old Man Logan. Oh, old man, look at my life. I'm a lot like you were. We just never know who it is when three scoundrels in a cantina show up. We don't know if it's Old Man Logan or them bones. I believe them bones are me. All right, get your questions in. We'll go for a few more minutes here. So any final questions there? Glad to have you guys here. Make sure you hit the thumbs up, subscribe. Remember to top the hour or watch our new video. I know it sounds like a broken record, but this is the life you have to, the things you have to do, Cars, when you choose this life. You have to pimp your shit. Like pimp your ride, but instead of ride, it's your shiznizzle. Yeah.
You're gonna bedazzle your dookies.
Oh my god, if only I could. Inflation's just making it really difficult these days. So yeah, if you have any final questions, get those in. Then me and Carth are gonna go do some TW battles. That ought to be fun.
I mean, it should be easy.
I'm pretty sure.
Unless they went full FUD. If they go full FUD defense, they don't clear our front zones.
No.
Like full stop. So it's like if it is full FU defense, if they've got all their Leias, all their Jabbas, all their Lord Vaders in the front walls, then they don't clear anything. Because they're not going to get through our Leia zones. Not gonna do it.
But you never know. You never know, Carth. You never know. And then anything else?
Not wildly.
Anything else? We'll do a little bit of that. So, who are you guys fighting? I have no idea who we're fighting. A guild in SWGOH.
Death Punch Rebels, I think is what they're called.
Okay. Usually on the weekends, TW participation for us drops significantly because we don't make it mandatory.
Yeah, so. It's not mandatory. We're getting into the holidays part of the year, so our participation drops normally then anyways.
Yeah.
Because people can't show up to do it all the time, which is fine.
They have lives and spend time with their families. What are they thinking?
Yeah, how dare they? So
what people are we dealing with here?
So we ended up punching down pretty massively.
Although we do win a few, and then all of a sudden it's like, Carth.
Anytime we get over a certain threshold, and because we all, we'll win all the low fights where we're barely above the 380 mark, and then when we get to actually like a comparative match, like close to like the 500 millions, then it's always we're getting paired up against people that are getting the crap beat out of them in the gauntlet or whatever else like that. So we'll swing massively. It's very, very rare that we have a fight where it's a comparative fight. Usually we're the underdog or we're just beating up kindergartners.
Max's question: is the $30 Beck bundle worth it, or should you buy the crystals to farm just the shards? If you got the discretionary income, it just helps you boost your character.
So the way to look at that is that it's $12.99, right? Crystals per pull.
Yeah.
And an average of 7.
Oh yes, I know.
So for 4 pulls,
that's 4,800. That's like $50.
Just
40 bucks.
It's like 40. It's not quite because 5,600 is 40.
Okay.
Because 28 and 28, right?
Yeah.
So
Plus, it's
you
got
would
gear in there
technically to get to 30 shards, you would need 5
and
pulls.
5 Omicrons. I
Yeah,
mean,
you would
yeah,
you would need 5 pulls to technically break 30 shards. But you could have at the maximum have to do 6. So basically, if you got the absolute worst rolls, it is 100% worth buying that pack versus doing anything else. The Omicrons are the reason why it's so expensive. So if you need Omicrons, it's great. If you don't need Omicrons, then it doesn't really factor into it. So if you're looking at it purely from what it would cost to do the packs versus that, it's better just to buy that and get them to 4 stars and call it a day. But if you are looking at trying to do like a full 7-star, then you're better off buying your vault and doing your polls and just keeping track of until you get to 30 away from 100 and then just buy the pack, because there's a chance that you might get lucky and pull, a 145 or a 230 or an 80 or something like that. There's a chance that you could pull those things. And so it's better to risk the chance on that than spending the higher cash on going for the pack.
all right. Oh man, Logan says, I'm sure this was asked, but what are the expectations for the new bow? I have all the requirements done. We did cover it earlier, but we can hit it one more time there, Karth. We think she's going to be fantastical.
Yeah. With the way the team is set up now, the only real thing that Bo needs to do is basically have some form of mass assisting. If she has a form of mass assisting with all Mandalorians, like similar to what's his
Maul.
nuts, Maul, like even if it's not like, because they already have lots of assisting in the thing, right? Because Grogu, whenever he uses his abilities, will call his specials will call assists as well. Um, they they just need a way to capitalize on the damage output, I suppose, because that's the
Yeah.
thing we have an inclination on what Bo's going to do, because they said a large part of her kit is maximizing on true damage,
Which is
um,
gross.
which is gross. So it's like I feel like the team's going to be pretty solid most of the time. If um if you can take if you can have like Bam start one-shotting bitches with whistling birds at a Galactic Legend level, like not Galactic Legends themselves, but team like characters on a GL team, then I think that's going to be a lot of fun. If Bo-Katan beats JMK, I'm actually going to be really impressed by that, because that would be thematically kind of fun to watch play out.
Yeah.
Because Bo and Kenobi, they have buried the hatchet, but through the Clone Wars, they definitely did not see eye to
Oh
eye.
no.
And it wasn't until her sister dies that she ever even tries to be helpful to him.
Well, they had that
So
connection. I think that's what drew them past
back
their
together, yeah,
past
past it.
their hatred for one another, Uh says Paz is a thick boy, put him to relic 9. As you should. He's a tinky. Karth question from Max. Want to do my pulls for me? You seem to have good luck.
Yeah,
No,
yeah,
no.
no. I do 5 stars in almost every marquee, and this is the first one in like a year that I pulled. I think the last one I pulled that pulled me this good was Zori. I think I pulled a one. I don't remember what it was. I had to go back and look, but I did pull pretty high end Zori and took her up, but it was not like a good pull. It was just a lot of higher average, but it doesn't happen very frequently.
Okie dokie in the pokey.
Yeah,
Don't see any other questions, so we'll give it another minute and then we're gonna start wrapping it up. So make sure you hit the thumbs up, subscribe, blah 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 blah. Get ready for the video at
yeah,
the top of the hour. And then me and Karth are gonna get out of here and yeah, but that Kelleran Beck pack last thing, if I could get it, I would. So but new. So
yeah.
uh
It's
if I
not
had the $30, I'd go pop that fucker in right now, man. You kidding me? That thing is fantastical. But yeah. But if you're gonna do like I'm doing now, wait for the shards, then
Yeah, I mean, it's odds of Bo-Katan showing up this year are in the floor. They're not
I just
zero.
don't see it.
They're not zero, but they're not guaranteed. Like I can't understand why people keep thinking that she's going to show up, because they literally have basically the 13th and the 20th. And I don't think their next update is planned until the 20th.
I just can't see it, man. They're gonna be on holidays, dude.
And so it's like I can't see them launching the Bo-Katan event unless it comes out on the 22nd, which again, I don't see that happening. They're not going to be in the office. They take off the last they take off the last week of the year, plus I think the first week of January.
Yeah, they're
So it's
not
like
gonna be around.
I can't see them launching an event that they don't have anyone in office for. Now, granted, they will have some people available on call. I know they said as much for home during their holidays that they will have people available in case something does hit the fan. So my assumption is that SWGOH will have the same thing, but I just can't see them doing it. It doesn't make sense to me. It makes more sense for it to show up towards the end of January.
Okay.
It's,
Well, yeah, but they were also released earlier. Joseph Oliver says Aphra, Starkiller, and Beskar Manda were all December launches, but they had started those characters. You
so
never know with CG.
The
right?
difference here is that all three of those characters were permanently available.
Yes.
At launch. I believe, because I believe even Beskar Manda was the same way. I believe he was the same way. So the idea is that the only way they release it in December is if Bo is permanently available. But if that's the case, why call it an epic confrontation where the epic confrontations we had in the past were
they're different events, Joseph. They're different events. Yeah, it's a legendary character, but I mean, this is different.
Yeah. No, I'm with you, Joseph. I understand what you're saying. Like that trend makes sense. I get that. But the problem is we're not dealing with the similar event. That's the only reason why they haven't said she's permanently available either. That's the problem. Like we are both valid in our arguments because there's no way to disprove the other until CG tells us something.
Yeah.
But the inclination of the player base is that if CG drops this before everything's farmable, then it needs to be permanently available. That's the main thing.
Yeah. And they've been on a trend where they're trying to mostly have most of the characters farmable before they even do that. And if IG's not even farmable yet in the next 2 weeks, which is a high possibility that he's not, then, you know.
No, well, they could put
they could put a fast one where they said these, you know, these characters are both now farmable. Then if you see both those characters all of a sudden out of the shipments, not farmable but shipments, then you need to start going,
The reality is that CG to this point has never released an event that is not permanently available before all the characters were farmable. It hasn't happened. There has never been an event that has released where the characters were not farmable on energy nodes prior to it going out that only showed up for that week or whatever time the event was.
Right.
Everything was by that point in time. So if you're using that standard and you're under the assumption that this event is going to be a limited release and then go away for 3 to 4 months, then it makes it safer to assume that that's how they would release it. They would get Kelleran Beck farmable, even if for just a week, because they did the same shit with Cal, right? Saul was farmable for what 5 days before the event went live, and then you had the week-long event to farm it. But he was farmable before Jedi Knight Cal showed up in the game. That's why everyone was like, oh, it's going to totally be Jedi Knight Cal in the beginning of June. It's like, well, but they're not even farmable yet. So that's not. Joseph, you got to understand the difference of what I'm saying here. Sana wasn't farmable, but Aphra was permanently available.
Right. Big
Like
difference.
that's the difference. If we're talking about an event that's not permanently available, then their trend has been to always release all of the characters to farmable energy nodes prior to the event coming out. If Bo is permanently available, then I could
Then
definitely see them
yes.
releasing her whenever the hell they want, because it's not going to matter to anybody on that guise. Now, is that how they do that this go around? I have no idea.
The
That's why I
trend
told
is
you
with
our
previous characters, but we don't know what, when you hear epic confrontation,
well,
you
that's the
start,
thing is
you
it's
think
different.
gas, you think Malik, you think of those kind of events where it's like 3 days, good luck.
Yeah, like that's the thing is both the arguments are valid. They can easily release Bo permanently available in the next 2 weeks, and we get to deal with it, right? And that's fine because the logic behind that is the same with the GLs. The players who have it now are ready now. They get the advantage of early access, and then the players that would wait till it's farmable are still going to unlock it in the same time frame. They're not going to change anything. Um, it's just one of those things where it's like it depends on how they release the event. If the event is permanently available, they can release it whenever the hell they want. If the event's going to be a timed release and only available for a short amount of time, then I think they wait till everything's farmable. But that's where I get at it. I think they would want to coincide her release closer to set 13 of Datacron's releasing,
Yeah.
which would help drive the incentive to unlock her. So I would see them try to culminate more towards that. The thing I think they're going to do this Christmas is bring back Cal. Like that's where I think they're going to head, because we have all the packs and stuff that are out right now, and all the event that's coming out next week. So I can imagine that changing.
Yeah, we got those light speed packs that are coming around the corner. I'm interested to see, we know the one for next week for best for Mando. But yeah, we've some data mine stuff has come, so we'll be curious to see what that they do there. So that could be their end of the year push, is that kind of stuff. This has all started with you guys' statement of thinking of no way she comes in December, and that's not the prevailing thought of almost everyone else in this position, that it's all supposed to.
Yeah, it's
Well, it
100%.
is, but I mean, you were going based off our experience with Capital Games and the way they do things. I
Yeah.
mean, you can kind of see how things are going along, and they're doing a very slow release on these marquees and stuff, and just with the timeline and how they handle the holidays and stuff. I mean, could it
Yeah.
happen? Yeah, but I mean, if we're going to speculate and make the assumption that that's pretty much the plan.
I mean, yeah, I'm
We could be wrong, but I
100%.
mean, my experience tells me, and Cart's experience tells me, this is kind of what they're doing.
Yeah, it makes more sense for her to show up after. I don't see them wanting to push it out ahead of time.
Yeah.
Because I mean,
Now the holidays coming up. You never know, though. But
you never know. They might do it early, but it's my bet would be that it's after, and that's more or less the thing. It's like if you try to convince me otherwise, I'll just give you the same retort I gave you before. There's no way that we know which way it lands until they tell us. So it's each viewpoint is equally correct until proven the other direction, then that person can gloat.
yeah.
Sure,
But
Joseph, that's
that doesn't mean
I
anything.
100% agree with you that that's how that is lining up. But the thing is that, and I'll keep bringing this back. Every event that is not permanently available, they have always had the characters farmable prior to release. Now, granted, we don't know if Bo-Katan is permanently available or not, but that's the mindset behind people who are thinking they're going to follow the previous iterations of an epic confrontation release, that it will be a limited time event. So it's just using some deductive reasoning to look at how that would play out. Now, granted, they could just change this to the format of their legacy events that they have done for the last 2 years and do the same shit. And I'm 100% with you. That is the way it is looking on the release schedule for all that stuff. But there's no way to guarantee what their event is actually going to be like. Exactly. If they didn't use epic confrontation, Joseph, then I would 100% be on board with how you're thinking about this.
Right.
But the epic confrontation, it's a weird way to phrase it for an event that we haven't had for 3 years,
Right.
right? Gas was 3 years ago back in April, but that was a thing. Is we used to have April releases of epic confrontations, right? Like that used to be a thing. There never used to be a December release, So it's one of those things where it's like, yeah, I get you, I get you, but that's the thing is that we don't have any idea of what this new version of this is going to look like. So it's hard to say how they want that to play out. It's just that we don't have any real information based on what they want to do for epic competition that only has 4 characters used to unlock it.
Yeah.
So it's like,
Yeah, if they'd come out and said they're doing the same shit that they've always done, I would have been like, okay. And then there would have been anything out of it. But the way they worded it and just hearing the word epic confrontation and seeing the release, how they're doing this and where these characters line up through the holidays and everything, it's just like, if you're going to make me put money down on it, I don't think she's coming in December. I think she's coming in the second week of January.
yeah.
So, um,
Like, yeah, as much as you guys are willing to go back and forth on this for the rest of the day,
I'm not.
it's just yeah, it's just the way I look at it right now with the information that I have that I think it's going to happen at that point. Now, if this comes out like next week and they're like, "Oh yeah, by the way, the weekend of the 22nd, here comes Bo-Katan's event," then you can all take your moment
They were wrong.
to say I was wrong. I'm fine with that. Like it's what you do when you speculate. But it doesn't matter to me, I guess, one way or the other, if who's ends up being right, because at this junction I'm ready for her. So who cares? But or at least for me, I don't care. But at the end of the day, like I said earlier, both viewpoints are valid until we get more information. So
Yeah.
until we have that, it's like you can easily see it the way you see it, and it looks like it's going to play out that way, and that's fine. But the way I see it, it looks the same. I'm getting the same vibe. So it's like we can both argue that until CG tells us something.
We'll see what happens. All right.
So
With that, Karth, it's top of the hour there, buddy.
it is top of the hour.
And we just released a new video, so you should go check it out after this. And then me and Karth, it's territory whore.
Is it? I'm gonna look real quick and see if it's gonna be a free for all TW or not.
Well, I mean, yeah, for me, Joseph, if it's going to be a permanent thing, then it'll change. It's not really going to change my farming pattern and stuff. I mean, if she comes out early, I won't have her immediately, but I'm still working toward her anyways.
The thing in my head though is that like if CG's going to do a triple marquee release into a epic confrontation, it makes the most sense to leave it as a like limited time event, because then it pushes the most pressure on the player base to wail and get there.
Yeah,
like
spend some money.
Like when Malik dropped, they dropped
oh my God.
so many packs to get your characters to gear 12 to do it, that it was a massive push. You got a 1 month, not even that, a 2 week notice of the event, and we got the hint of it at the end of the Darth Revan when he first came around, and it was just like, if you didn't have Darth Malik, the team was not the same.
Oh no.
And I feel like that's kind of like what they're going to do, is like, if you don't have Bo, then you just invest all these characters for nothing. So they want to force you to push that higher, and that's how CG plays the game.
And I blame Finn. And then Maximus, last question, we'll get out of here, Karth, says, how do you guys feel about the data mine light speed bundles? I think they're great. I'm all for them, man. I think that, it's such a good mechanic for such a low price to help players get caught up. I mean, you still have to get caught up on mods and zetas, but I mean, Jesus, rolling 5 on all those characters, it's just fucking amazing. So fucking good, man. I can't, argue. The only argument someone made to me was like, doesn't that devalue what you did? I'm like, no,
because it's been so long. Like, I had Phoenix at 7 stars, 5 years ago. So it's like, I don't really care if somebody else gets caught up. But the thing is too, is like, Like the only way I would feel devalued in this entire process is if CG came out and went, for $10, we will give you Leia Organa.
Yeah,
I
then
would I would lose my shit at that point. I would be done playing the game if they're going to hand out the greatest and newest things. But they are focusing on the demographic of things that are significantly older and catching players up in meaningful roster development. And it's like, I'm fine with that
yeah.
because it means more players enjoy the game. They don't have to do the same thing I did. But at the same time, you look at the value of packs that we were buying 4 years ago versus what you get out of them now. It's not
Mm.
even the same, but it's because so much of the stuff has been changed in the value of what it's worth. Back 4 years ago when they were doing stuff, you get those Gear 12 Plus packs that had 3 pieces of gear for $100. You can buy, 3 times that plus one for the same price now by buying the $10 packs that show up. $10 for a piece of Gear 12 Plus gear, and you get to pick which ones you want. You don't have to get the bundle that only has one that you need versus two that you don't, or vice versa. So it's like you get a lot more choice, selection, everything else. It's like it's not the beast anymore. And I'm always a bigger proponent of players having more fun in this game. So if you got to spend $10 to make massive strides, that's fine because it's still isn't going to. You will be better than your peers at that level for buying them, but you will never be good enough to compete at the high end by buying all of those.
But it gives you more opportunities and conquests and other things that you get caught up to be
Yeah,
doing
well,
it
it gives you,
faster.
it gets you
Help you in
to actually,
TB. I mean, I know a lot of guilds love because it just pushed their GP and really help with stars and TB and other things. So I'm like, yeah, man, send that shit, man. I'm all for it, dude. I mean, anything that helps those early tier, mid tier players get these characters that had to kind of bypass because they're going for their newer stuff to make their rosters better and not have to go back and farm all that for 10, 20 bucks. Put them out, man. I'm all for it. All right,
yeah.
we're getting out of here. So, on behalf of myself and Carthaginigus, thank you guys for being here today. Make sure you hit the thumbs up. Now, as soon as you leave here, go check out the latest video from me and Carth. We got it out there for you guys, so go check it out. I think you'll find it very informative and interesting and helpful for you guys. It's a question we get asked all the time, Carth. Oh my God, do we get asked this question? So we figured we'd start doing some videos on your questions to start helping you guys out. So everyone have a great rest of your day. Appreciate you guys. Have a good one. And we'll see you on Monday for some GAC. Peace.